family. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope y'all are having a fabulous day. I know for me right now, day's really just getting going. But I love starting it off, especially on a fabulous Saturday, which is the day I observe my Sabbath. I just get to come out here to, my local forested area. And if you haven't picked it up yet, I do most of my video blogging out here. It's really a place where I think God just loves to get me alone and pull me away from a lot of the distractions of my normal life. But all that's just to say that I'm having a fabulous start to my day, and I hope you are too. What I wanted to talk about today was real brief. In a meeting that I was at last night with my church, Torch Church, we really discussed something that might seem like, very, very obvious, obvious thing that we as people need to be focused on. But specifically within the church, it seems like something that we struggle with more than the rest of the world. And that is really this idea that there's only so much that we can take on before we ourselves get drained. It's the discussion of having a tank, and there's a limit of emotional output before you really just get drained. And what the questions that we talked about that really got me thinking were, okay, so the drain's always going to be happening. No matter what, your tank is always going to be draining. And the world, that's what the world does best. It gets at you and it gets into your emotional tank and it drains you. So rather than trying to find a way to stop that, the bigger, more important focus is, what do you intentionally and consistently do to try to fill that tank? And that was a question that I've pondered in a way before, but I don't think I've really ever built into my life and my daily structure the things that I find significant to me refilling my tank. And I think there's also a bit of guilt attached to some of those things, because the enemy would convince me that these tank fillers are insignificant, that they're not important, that they don't have the type of godly mission that the other things that I undertake do. But one thing in our discussion that I realized was that it's very significant that I do these things, because they are what fills my tank, which what allows me to successfully do the bigger mission items that I know God has called me to do. So some of those things for me specifically actually is this right now, blogging. I know it sounds weird to some, but it just really fills me up to be able to find some time to share what's on my heart with people, specifically through my EduClarity blog. Now, there are other blogs that I do that I think have a tendency to empty more than fill, simply because it's just the format of the blog, and then it begins to feel like something that I have to do and an obligation, as opposed to just something that I purely enjoy. So I think that is a sign of some of the drawback in areas of my life that I've struggled with, like legalism. Basically, whenever something becomes a law, something that I have to strive to achieve, or else I've failed, that is where it really becomes a drain and not a filler. God is, as Christ died so we'd be free. He set us free for freedom's sake, not so we would tie ourselves down with new chains of this world. So I want to make sure that I don't lock myself up to too many things that are draining in that regard. So I need to understand that the freedom of blogging is something that I need to keep. Also, just like creating stuff, I like to be creative. I started kind of dabbling with helping people out with personal website creation. That's something that I think I'd like to try to do a little bit more. Pieces of it, because I don't really know a whole lot, pieces of it can be draining, but just the design of their outlook of their website, or putting together I don't know, like sliders or graphic arts, that's pretty filling for me. And then, just reading, not all books, but reading some books that are just, enjoyable. Like I'm really enjoying this book, Radical, I'm reading right now. I really enjoyed reading The Sun Stands Still, and there's a handful of other books that are still theologically based and I think missional, that keep me on mission, but that don't feel like a task and part of a class that I have to complete or something like that. That's really where I get filled. And then there's kind of just goofing off on my iPhone here, or maybe even occasionally playing a video game. Those are things that fill me up. I'm just saying all this really to get you to thinking about your emotional tank. There's things that drain it, there's things that fill it. I'm also going to attach a link on here to the video that we watched with a talk from Bill Hybels and a small talk from Wayne Cordeiro about this same topic. They give you much more profound and in-depth material. I hope that this has blessed you guys today. I hope that you really look at your life, see what's draining it, and see what can fill your tank. All right? So go do it. Be blessed and be a blessing. Talk to y'all later.